Very excited about the game we played Saturday. Thought our kids played inspired, thought they played passionate, thought they played hard. Again, competed in the game the way we want to compete in the game from the first play to the last play. And very happy that we got a lot of those young guys in the game. You saw a lot of those young players, get out there and make plays offensively, defensively. You see their flashes and their abilities, and just getting them into games is so big for their futures and even the depth of which we have to finish this season off with Florida and in a bowl game. So, those guys all will be needed. It was great, played a lot of guys. Thought defensively we were outstanding in the game. They got a couple little plays early, and we really settled down. They're a good football team, very well coached, controlled the line of scrimmage, tackled well for the most part, missed one tackle, give them a little field goal there on that second or third drive we had to stop. But other than that, I thought we did a nice job. Offensively, very efficient. I think scored 8 out of 9 drives. Executed in the red zone. Had one hiccup down there, and on the goal line we just missed a block. It was that simple. Just missed a block. And didn't get in, but very efficient. Sean played outstanding. Thought Dalvin was outstanding. Kermit, the receivers, everybody I thought did a really nice job on the day. Kicking game, I thought we were good. Great to see Naquan go in there and get some punts also, get some punt return game going on. Unfortunately, Kermit had to fumble. It was a great return, blocked well. He just had poor ball security. He had the ball down. It was loose away from his body and got it knocked out. We got to make sure we clean that up. But I thought we punted the ball all the time. We punted it well, and Roberto kicked the ball well. So outstanding. Now, but on the other side now, one of the reasons you come to Florida State, play University of Florida. Outstanding team. Jim has done a tremendous job. They're 10-1, ranked in the top 10 right now. They're outstanding. The way he's coached, he's a great person, first of all, and he's a great coach. Done a great job with those guys. Offensively, Taylor is a heck of a back. Great young lineman. Good skill guys out wide. Robinson and 81, those guys can really play out wide, and a little Powell in the slot. The tight ends. Brandon Harris, we know we recruited outstanding with his legs, can throw it deep. Does a really nice job in the game. Defensively, they're outstanding. They're one of the top units in the country. They're strong against the run, strong against the pass. There's not a weakness on their defense. They played all the way through. They're good in the kicking game. Typical Florida State matchup. Both of us are ranked very high. Both of us have a lot on the line to play for, and that's why you come to Florida State, to be able to compete in these games. It'll be a tough, hostile environment. We know that. But again, that's why you come here. They're outstanding in the second. Hargraves and those guys are Morrison and Bullard and Brantley, and all those guys. They're all outstanding play. I go on and on, offensively, defensively, and everybody they got. But that's why you're here. We're a good team. They're a good team, and we'll square off and play on Saturday night. Questions?
As far as that defense, it's another top 6 defense you're going to face.
That's like every week. Every time we face somebody, it's a top 10. We face some. As I look at it, I get caught up in it. But man, we have faced about everybody in the top 10 or 15, have we not?
Well, I was going to say, with your offense, how have you seen them improve, especially going into a game like this as the course of the season's gone along?
Well, getting more consistent. We've had against some outstanding defense. We've scored 4 or 5 times in a row and touchdowns and got going in the game, and hopefully we're learning to start faster, play a little better in those regards. But we faced some outstanding teams throughout the year, and on the defensive side of the football. But the consistency, and I think understanding the level at which you got to play. When you go play those guys, you play with outstanding defense. You offensively, you got to raise your game. You got to know it going in. These guys are, there's no easy yards. Sometimes you play folks, and sometimes there's some things in their scheme that they're willing to give up to not to prevent something big, and you're able to go the well and create things. But a lot of the teams we played this year, there's not those easy yards. When you have to earn every yard, you got to make every block, and then all of a sudden you make 6 blocks, and the 7th block is one it's a 3-yard gain instead of a 30-yard gain. We've had numerous plays things like that going on all year, whether it's a pass by hair off or just make 6 out of 7 blocks. But that's when you play good teams, you got to make them across the board, and that's why it's hard to move against great defenses. And this is another one.
Jimbo, with Sean's the confidence his teammates have in Sean, confidence even the coaching staff having him, what part does the loyalty he's shown to the program play in that? And that,
you say loyalty,
never transfer
it is. That is tremendous. But, that's the way it used to be all the time. That's what a lot of our world's missing right now. You know what I'm saying, as far as that goes. And I have the utmost respect for Sean Maguire. Coming here, things didn't work out always like he wanted. He keeps working. He's the ultimate sign of what happens to you when you're a tremendous young man. You've been raised right. You've got great values. You're who you are as a person. I can't say enough good things about Sean Maguire. I have tremendous respect for Sean Maguire. Now he is learning to allow himself to be the player he can be. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mean that in a negative way but sometimes you want something too much, like I've said before. But his loyalty and the character he has and the things he's doing and what he stands for, And you know what? Those teammates see it. Those teammates see it and they respond to it. And it's not that the other guys don't, but he is an outstanding, outstanding young man, and I'm glad that good things are happening for him. They should. Does that answer your question?
Oh, yeah.
Had you ever talked or crossed paths with Jim McElwain before you through Nick or
No,
Trevor?
because he was a West Coast guy. You know what I'm saying? It was just more from when he was with Nick and talking there.
He's turned around Florida so quickly, and you had Florida State in an ACC championship game your first year, and maybe you don't really know what's going on over in Gainesville, but for you, how tough is it, or how are you able to maybe have that huge first-year jump that they've been able to have?
Everybody thinks it's about, it is, first of all, you got to have players. They've got good players. They've had guys drafted. If you look at ever since we've been here, we've said it. Hey, they've had some good years, not so good years, but there's still 6 to 8, 9 guys drafted every year. Plus other guys get fresh. So they've had good players. But I think Jim has come in with great structure, great organization, and a great big picture plan, and has implemented that and got everyone over there to buy into it and become one. And I think that's the key. It's structure, organization, which then allows you to start changing culture, which is the most important thing if you're going to turn a program around.
What would you say about maybe the similarities between the two of your teams in terms of, like, you guys use 2 different quarterbacks, you've had strong defenses and just found ways to win?
It is. I mean, we are probably very similar. We both run the football, young offensive teams, have used multiple quarterbacks, very strong on defense. They are. I mean, it's funny how that evolves. That wasn't planned, I promise you, by either one of us. But, I think also one of the key roles as a coach is identifying who you are and what each team is, and where its strengths and weaknesses lie, so how you got to play the game or how you got to coach the game. And Jim's done a great job of that, and hopefully we've done a great job of that. And like I say, each team has its own personality and own identity, and it is ironic that we are very similar. We really are.
In a game where two really good defenses fighting against each other, how important are like those hidden yards, the special teams, the
the field position, the hidden yards, the returns, the kicking game. It's all. Even in other games, and I say this because you go back and research. Now, we've had a ton of them this year, and we have in the past. How many 75, 80-yard drives you get? When you get one, if you get 2 in a game, that's like earth-shattering, really, in real ball. I mean, when you're playing good people, and we've had a lot of those. And so winning that field position battle, I think we've done a better job of that in the last 3 years. We even did a great job of that against Clemson. I think it's one of the reasons we were able to control them not the point-wise. Even though they had yards in that game, continually, even on offense, we would still move it, punt them down. They had to go the whole field. They would drive out the midfield, and we'd punt back and forth. But it kept that score very close in a lot of ways, you know what I'm saying? So I think that is still something in ball today that I still put a premium on. And I think that we don't talk enough about it because we get so caught up in offense and defense anymore that in the old days when you played field position, we think you score points. Guys, that's still critical for success, extremely.
His first road start at Clemson, the next one's going to be out in Florida. How big was it to get that first one to kind of show he can rally, not fall apart, that kind of stuff?
Well, I think not just only road, but the implications of that game. You know what I'm saying? I said in that day at Clemson, that game did not overwhelm him. And I've been with young guys on roads and big games and situations where they come off, man, and they're like a deer in headlights. You know what I mean? When they come off with what the information they're giving back or what they're saying or just a look in their eye and their body language, that whole day was not too big for him. And I think that will help him tremendously going forward in his career and this weekend. I definitely do.
Kind of going back to Ira's question about field position and the defenses, does that make you, as a play caller, be a little bit more conservative, knowing you can rely on the D and your punter, or do you have to take your shots and do that?
No, I don't think you rely on your defense. I think understanding what position maybe it puts your offense in, and how much do you hang them out when you're wanting to take shots, knowing, all right, if I go to here and I can get them in this formation and I can get that one-on-one, but also they get a one-on-one up front that I may not like, or they get a one-on-one on the back, or you know what I'm saying? There's, so when you got to throw it here. You got to create ways to create those plays, but also when you do it a lot of times, you become just as vulnerable as they do. You get a matchup, they get a matchup. It's like somebody's band's going to play, and you take chances. You know what I'm saying? So how you call a game is very critical. And I think the experience of your guys matter, the experience of your quarterback, how you think he handles, if he can deal with pressure, he can't deal with pressure, he knows that. I think all those things, it's not just relying on a defense, but it's also it's the exposure you give your own team. And when to do it, when not to do it. Those are all critical things in play calling that, a lot of folks want to be wide open all the time. That's why I say it's not about always scoring points. The ultimate goal is to score points, but how you do it, control the clock, where you expose yourself. Do you cause yourself to get, for instance, what game was it they were playing the other day? somebody they were playing had a double. I'm trying to think on film. It was 13-0 in the game Florida was playing, and they ran a double move, and I mean, it came wide open. It's going to be 13-7. Well, they got sacked off. As he's throwing the ball, quarterback got hit. They picked it up, went in and scored in the next drive on the 20. It went from a 13-7 game to a 20-0 game, and it was the right call. It was there, but you got vulnerable on the backside. It was one of the films I was just watching from them. You know what I'm saying? So as a coach, you have to find ways to help Chip, making sure that one-on-one that you have, can you get help Chip to him? Can you slide to him? Can that guy hold him for the 2.4 seconds or 2.8 seconds that you need? I mean, all those things are critical, and people don't see that. Well, you got beat 20, then you give up a fumble. But yeah, if that guy had blocked him for 0.3 seconds more, it's 13-7. I mean, all those things fans and people don't always see. Those things as a coach, you're constantly calculating in everything you do, and it's critical because those matchups become both ways.
Jimbo, you've had two really good kickers in your time here, and that's the only part of their special teams that's a struggle. Every other aspect is very good. But you talk about play calling. What does having a kicker like a Roberto or Dustin Hopkins do for your play calling, especially when you get around midfield?
Well, it does. And, you know, people say at midfield, but also it does when you get to the red zone, tight zone. You're at that 20, 25, 30-yard line, all of a sudden, okay, you can't afford. A lot of guys, when you don't have range on the kicker, and it's, you know, he gets that, and he's pretty accurate from 45 in, let's say, or 44 in. So that would put you to what, 27, 26-yard line? You know, all right, you know, how do you still call plays? Are you aggressive going the end zone when you're dropping back, where if you get a sack to the 30, 32 and it's still a 51-yarder, you still feel confident in how he kicks the ball? Everybody says about midfield, it's even more so when it really gets down in there to where because then when you start getting down into that tight zone, then the pressure flips to the quarterback because they don't have to drop. Everything becomes tighter, faster. The red zone that's tight, and the tight zone is real. That's why it's called tight zone. It's real tight. So even how you call plays there and the aggression and the drops and the plays you call there with the range of those guys is even more important in that regard to me. For a lot of guys are 42 to 43 yards in, very accurate. But they're not outside of that. Or some guys, where is that limit for them? You know what I'm saying? Where they become inconsistent. And then you call plays accordingly in that regard. Especially with it, and again, your opponent too. If I got good matchups and I feel we can block them across the board, and then you can do that. If I don't, why am I, you know, in the tightness of the game, the importance of the game, all those things.
And what kind of security blanket having guys like Dustin and...
Well, you do, and to me, it's a security blanket, and it's something you have to, you know, as a coach, you got to go put time in those kickers just like you do a quarterback, a receiver, and everything else. Go research. Now, you don't always know on any player, but you got to put time and find ways to find those kickers and the importance of it, because that's, you know, that makes you a better offensive play caller, makes you a better coach, makes you a better team. So I think, you know, that's one of the things our staff has done a great job of, is they really putting time into recruiting the kicking game, whether it's returners. I mean, look at this. We got great kickers. We've had good punters. I did a kickoff return. We had one of the best kickoff return guys out of high school ever, and Kermit Whitfield was a big one for I mean, that had as important role as a national championship as any. So, I mean, all those things, as our staff has done a great job of it, understanding all aspects of the game can affect all aspects of the game. That's what I say all the time. Even how you call special teams is affecting offense by what you're saying there. Special teams is affecting defense by what we were talking about a minute ago. I mean, that's why I say we get caught up in offense and defense. Understand how the team meshes together to win the game. And those kickers are a huge part of what we're doing.
Jimbo, I understand, Rob.
Did I confuse you good?
It ain't hard.
No, I was joking. I mean, I know I talk in circles, but I'm just trying to make a point. I do, because how we call offense and defensive plays and even special teams things is based on our whole team, not just that segment.
I understand rivalries are always intense and emotional, but this year, like you had said, after the game, a lot of implications. 2012 had a lot of implications, but this rivalry hasn't had that as much recently. Can you sense in a year when both teams are really good that maybe things are a little bit more intensified in the rivalry than...
No, I really don't. I mean, when we go 2013, I know they weren't having a good year, but we had national championship implications on it. You know what I'm saying? To me, it was just as important. I think when these teams play, if it was and I joke, it's 0-11, it'd still be the same way. I just feel that way.
Jimbo, do you have a favorite memory against UF?
Yeah, 4 of them. One of them I don't. I mean, that's at the end of the day. I mean, no. I mean, I just respect the rivalry. I really do. I respect the rivalry and what they've been accomplished, what we've accomplished, and just fortunate to be able to coach it. And I've been in some great ones, and this is one of the best ones ever.
Jimbo, for this particular team, how big would a win be over its rival?
Well, I think it is. I mean, you know, finishing out the season the way you want to finish, have another double-digit win season, break a school record for most wins by a senior class. I mean, it'll definitely put you probably in playoff bowl game or whatever that thing is, you know what I mean? BC, you know what I'm saying. But anyway, there's a lot for that. A lot to accomplish. Nothing, again, but just the pride of playing your rival and having success in the game.
Dalvin had a big game against Florida last year. I guess this series gives those great players an opportunity to kind of put their stamp on things. Do you see that with him, and how have you seen that in the past with some of the other players?
Well, the guys always rise up. Big games, big moments, big players always rise up. And like I say, last year, who would have thought it was Dalvin? Because he was playing well, but he wasn't the household name, and he was just making his own way. And it's opportunities. He took advantage of an opportunity, but his rivalry games like that always seem to do that.
Jimbo, you've been down there so much in the swamp at LSU, Auburn, now Florida
Yep.
State. What is so unique about that place? What makes it so difficult?
They got good players. They've had good players. I joke about that. People say, "What makes a place so tough to play?" Good players, good coaches. You can put 200,000 people in there. If there's no good players and good coaches in there, it's not a tough place to play. It's a fun place to play, and that's definitely not. They've had good coaches, good tradition, good players. But then, it sits right down on top of you. It's loud. They got great fans. They're passionate. It's a typical, southeastern part of the country game. You know what I'm saying? And it is players, coaches first. But then they're coached well, and they do well, and they have high expectations. They have tradition. You know what I'm saying? All those things, and that's what makes it tough. It's a tough, loud place.
It seems like you've gotten a little continuity on the offensive line the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
What's the key to transitioning against a much better defensive front, you would think?
Confidence, communication. Just being together, playing as one. Making sure we're all on the same page, getting a hat to a hat and be technique sound, and understanding how to do it quicker, how to know where your help is, how to know how you're going. If I'm double teaming with this guy, how he steps to compare to where I stay. One guy may take a bigger step, one guy a little step. Just the continuity of them, how they mesh together. And there's so, because all of those blocks, inches make a difference. A pad level here to a pad level here, and I'm used to doing it with that guy. He does it this way. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully keeping these guys in the same places 3 or 4 weeks in a row will increase all those things.
Tom DeAngelo?
Yes, hey Jimbo.
Hey, Tom, what's up, buddy?
Can you talk about these struggles on offense? You may have asked this, I can't hear all these questions, but the struggles on offense on the road, the numbers are such a disparity in the numbers between home and road offense.
Well, let's go through them a minute. First of all, we play, I went through these. We played BC the first part of the year. We're beat up in the offensive line. We're not together. We're still coming together as a unit. We left 4 or 5 touchdowns on the field, like I said, with opportunities. Everett was learning the offense, and we found out that's the #1 defense in the country. At Wake Forest, we actually played extremely well on offense. We scored 4 out of 6 drives. We only had the ball 6 times going into the fourth quarter. We scored 4 out of 3 touchdowns, a field goal, 4 out of 6 drives. We didn't have it. Defensively, they kept the ball the whole time. And then we had 1 drive at the end where I thought we could have run out the clock, and we didn't. We didn't play well, but we didn't play poorly in that game. And they're a good defensive team. All right, who would be the next one? Clemson was an outstanding. That game, I know they were an outstanding team. We were an inch away. That was just a slugfest. They're one of the top defenses in the country. We had opportunity to make a couple plays. We're in the red zone. We just made a poor decision. We missed 2 short yardages. Otherwise, we moved the ball extremely well. We just got to play a complete game, and I think that came from continuity up front and different fronts, and we had to play different people. We had to change at halftime of that game, if you remember. In the third quarter, we had to change fronts in that game. Who else would be the other 2?
Georgia Tech, you missed.
Georgia Tech, we just didn't play well. We screwed up 2 red zones, and we jumped off sides 7 times. That was just continuity of jumping off sides and having penalties. And we did in the Clemson game a little bit. We got the young guys up front, put us behind the 8 ball, and we lost some field position. And in those 2 games, we missed a red zone opportunity. We get down to 1st and 4 on the 4, jump off sides twice, and have a ball that's open. We miss it, and on another field goal, we have a slant that's open. We hit the inside guy, make a poor decision there. But running the ball, just the continuity and communication, I think it has a lot to do with young offensive linemen, different offensive linemen, different young guys playing in different positions, and just getting that communication like Ira was talking about a minute ago, in regard to what we had. I'm trying to think, who's the others? That's it. When you go through it, and like I say, Clemson and Boston College were outstanding defenses. And we went early in the season, we weren't close to where we needed to be, and we had a lot of changes still to make on the offensive line. Had a lot of guys hurt, and Everett was still learning the system. And we had things going on, and they're a really good defensive football team as we see throughout the year.
And you touched on this earlier, but as far as getting the young guys in the game, but to have a game like you had last week, and to have a season like you've had offensively, where it's taking time and you have to develop, what does that do for confidence? Just knowing this is this is the best offense, this is the group that's going forward? What does it do for confidence to have that kind of game?
It does. And it was funny, but we had it going in. If you go back to Syracuse, it was pretty good on defense. Louisville, we had the 5 straight drives we scored. South Florida, as we're finding out, wasn't a bad football team. I knew that coming in. I knew South Florida was fixing to get really good. They may win and go to their conference championship game now. I mean, they beat some really good teams. And there's times all year we've had that where we've scored 5 drives in a row, 6 drives in a row, 4 drives in a row. Then we get 2 or 3 guys hurt. Then we get this. It's not an excuse, but the communication things. But hopefully now with the continuity we got going in this, hopefully we can go on the road and communicate. And again, I mean, say you're going down there and score a ton of points. I don't want to say that, but I don't want to say we're not. I mean, I want to leave that door open and we can go get hot and make plays. But, again, realistically, this is a heck of a defensive football team. We just have to play well and play efficiently. And I think that's the key, like I was trying to tell Ira, and consistent. Eliminate negative plays, eliminate self-inflicted wounds. And when you have those opportunities to hit those plays, make them. And then a couple guys got to make some exceptional plays to make it work.
Jimbo, they're
Thanks, Jimbo.
a little banged up in the defensive line. What's your injury situation going to that, and do you think that'll help your O-line?
Well, I mean, everybody's banged up now. You go through it. We're banged up on the offensive line. We're banged up in the defensive line. Everybody this time of year, there's not a team in America that's not banged up. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, that's just part of it. But yeah, I mean, they've got great players. I don't know. Hopefully, we'll play well. I mean, they're going to have, no matter what. Whenever it seems like they take one of those guys out, when you put another guy in, it doesn't seem like there's a big difference in them. I mean, they've got depth and they've got good players. They'll have a lot of guys drafted. So, from that standpoint, it's just that time of year, and now you got to gut it through and finish it out.
Is there any word on Roderick?
Yeah, I mean, much better than we thought. I mean, now, it's still that door's open. I mean, he may sit out today, but he's walking on his own. We thought it was he's moving around a lot better, a lot better.
Matt, you want to go ahead?
Very excited about that.
Yeah, hey Jimbo.
Hello.
A lot of speculation up in Louisiana that Les Miles could be on his way out at LSU, and you would be their top target. What's your reaction to that?
I have no comment on that. I have a policy. I don't speak about jobs. That's unfair to the players that are there, the players that are here, the coaches there and here. And there is no job opening. So I have no comment on that, and that's a policy in which I have. I'm not going to comment on any job in any way, shape, or form.
Sure, understand. Had to ask. Now, the game this week, what about Florida's secondary kind of impresses you the most?
We were joking the other day. I think they got DBs over there on the side that they just keep pouring in and pouring. I've never seen a team with so many defensive backs. Daggum, they got them everywhere. I mean, I look up and there's guys covering. I say, is that number 6 or 42 or 20? No, that's this. Wait a minute, that's 7. I mean, they got them everywhere. Their corners can cover. They're athletic, they're long, they're big, their safeties are big and fit. We recruit a lot of them. I mean, so I know them. I mean, when you go down the road from Marcus May to Marcel Harris to Neal to Washington, and Tabor's a great corner. Quincy Wilson we recruited, Vernon Hargraves, I mean, Poole, I mean, all those guys, Duke Dawson, I mean, they all can tackle, they can cover, and they can play multiple positions. They play nickel, they play dime, they play safety, they play corner. They can play everywhere.
Thanks, Jimbo.
Thank you.
Keeping with what you were talking about with guys like Hargraves, of course, so much has been said about Jalen and Vernon. In your mind, what do you think makes those guys stand out to people like they do, especially when they talk about things like the upcoming draft?
Well, I think, first of all, you see the athleticism on both guys. Then you see the competitiveness. You watch both guys play. I mean, those guys, they play hard. Our guy plays hard. I mean, Jalen plays, I mean, he's one of the best competitors I've ever been around. And Hargraves the same way. You see I mean, he's in diving, jumping, playing, emotional, talking. I mean, in a good way. I mean, you see him just competing. And I think those guys are very smart. They're very intelligent. They can play the deep ball. They can play the underneath. They play big receivers, small receivers. I mean, they're complete football players and great competitors.
Keeping along those lines, I mean, it seems like this is a game that guys have been able to make a name for themselves. What do you think makes this game to where guys have not only A, improve like their pro prospects, but B, who've been some guys that you've seen in this game stand out that just went like, wow, like they've had such a good game and maybe their draft prospects improved?
You know, I think one a couple years ago was KB down there. I mean, because they had great players and how he dominated the football game in so many different ways. Inside, he was in the slot, he was outside. I mean, you know, just his overall dominance. I mean, you know, Dalvin made a great name for himself last year. A couple years ago, their backs did. I mean, they ran the football and played really well on defense. I don't know if the guys made names. Usually, when they're at this place and they're making plays at both these places, people know about them. I don't know if they're jumping through the roof, but, you know, you just know you play big in big games.
Nate Andrews, it seems like he keeps getting better and better each week for him.
And getting healthier.
What's he do for your defense when he's right?
Man, again, I say this about Nate. You can't say enough good things about Nate Andrews. I mean, and I talk about the person. I mean, what? And that's why he plays. I mean, he's just an unbelievable human being, unbelievable teammate, work ethic, character. He's got everything. And he puts his heart and soul into everything he does. He's tremendous, tremendous.
To have that versatility, I guess you guys are going to see that in defensive backs a lot.
He'll go play up, he'll play back, he can play everywhere. And he learns. And he takes the time to make sure he knows.
Kermit, the last 2 weeks especially, has added a lot to the passing games. Is there something in particular he's been able to do? What's been kind of
Consistent in his routes, run through the ball. I told him we cut that grass a couple times, he fell down, so I got the grass cut. I don't know if I can get it cut in Florida, so he'll have to manage that on his own so he didn't trip anymore. I was teasing him, and just giving him a hard time. But I think learning to have confidence and poise in what he's doing. He's doing it more and more, and all of a sudden, it's that light's clicking on, hey, man, I can do this with the ball, I can do it without the ball, understanding, running routes, learning to play fast without the ball, which is allowing him to get the ball, and then once he gets it, he can be down there and keeping the poise to finish those things, and just he's working hard. I mean, I'm very happy for him. It's very well deserved.
You mentioned the learning to play fast. Once he adds his speed in with the other elements, does that kind of make him a unique player?
It makes him extremely unique. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's world class. I mean, when he runs. I mean, and that guy, and it's hard, and people say, well, can he run? It's hard to run and learn how to play and where you're running and all those things. It takes time to learn how to play, and he's doing it.
Jimbo, like Josh Sweat and Derwin James, Antonio Callaway's really excelled for them. Is that a matter of just not having a full depth chart, or just talent,
Talent, maturity, work ethic. I mean, there's so many opportunity. Like you say, some of it's opportunity, some of it's maturity, some of it's ability, some of it's your demeanor, your competitiveness. Some guys come in, no matter, they beat guys out. You know what I mean? But just having the ability to adjust to being away from home and college life quicker, and then that goes back to maturity and those things. I think that's a huge part of it.
I believe Callaway camped here last summer.
Yes, he's a really good player, really good player.
What are some things that just make him stand out?
Size, ball skills, body quickness, gets in and out of cuts, finishes cuts, and then finishes plays off long runs.
Just looking at Treon Harris, what do you see from him on film?
Athletic, a winner, throws a deep ball extremely well, ball spins out of his hand very well, keeps plays alive, tough guy, competitor, winner, all those things.
He was committed to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Was he committed as a quarterback, or was he?
Yes, he was going to play quarterback, yes.
So you saw something in high school?
That guy won a lot of games, did a lot of things now. I mean, he really did.
More of a broader question, not specifically about a job or not, but with guys like Mark Richt and Les Miles under the gun and under fire, what does that kind of say about?
Well, look at today. I mean, Syracuse, Scott Schaefer, who's a great guy and great coach, and again, had some tough breaks throughout the year. I mean, it's again, we talked about this, it's just the way it's just the nature of the business. It's our patience and things that go on. I mean, there's none of that anymore. And so what have you done for me lately, and how are you going to do it? Or I don't know. I mean, I really don't. I've never seen a year like this year. I mean, there's so many jobs and situations out there, and I think whether coaches deal with pressure, how they deal with this. I mean, it's a whole different world. I mean, not only when we talk about players, the pressure and the social media, coaches, assistant coaches, family. I mean, it's a whole different animal than it used to be even 5 years ago. People don't want to always hear that, but folks, it's a fact. And I think part of it too. I'll say that I think adding the playoff and things, I think is only adding to this. Because like you got to get in the playoff. You can't do this. You can't do that. I mean, I think all those things are critical moments, and I think that's where I think leaders of a university have to understand what they want, how they want it, be very explanatory to the people there, and then if you do something, just make sure you communicate. I mean, it's just a different day and time.
When you have the success you guys have had, you know that your name's going to be out there anytime jobs do come open. How do you handle it? Have you seen, did Nick give you advice on how to handle it?
I watched him do it all the time. I mean, and it does. And to me, I don't ever want to speak because I think it's so unprofessional. I think it's disrespectful to even do those things. You know what I'm saying? But then when people say, when somebody asks you recruiting, well, that's, to me, I look at it as a positive. That means we're doing things right here. That means people like what we're doing. They're encouraged by what we're doing. They think we have the right folks. And then you ask the recruit, wait a minute, those other schools recruiting you, nobody wants their coach? Maybe somebody wants you. Maybe you're coming to a good place when you come here. You know what I'm saying? I don't say that, but I mean, you know, those things are all part of it, you know, and how you do that. And you're honest, and I'm always straight up and honest, but I'm never going to be disrespectful to anybody or anything in this profession. I mean, those guys are all friends and colleagues, and I think we want to write a story, and I understand that, but there's a respect thing in this business, and you only got one name and how you do things.
Do you think, you said it's unfair, do you think your players or your assistant coaches also hear that, or they?
They do, but I think it's a norm. Tell me when you don't hear it. I mean, it's part of life. It's in recruiting. Like saying, well, the guy's committed, but he's taking 4 visits and he's going over here. I mean, do we hear that? Yes, but call the guy, talk to the guy, or whatever, and the guys, we're fine. I mean, we know a lot of the inner story. I mean, that's just the world today. I mean, whatever it is that's going on that people have interest in, somebody's going to write this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. Now, it's your decide. You decide which 4 you believe. You know, I mean, it's just, that's the world we're in today. It's again, I say that's the craziness of it.
And it's got to be tough for a coach to answer any questions about another coaching job, because if you don't outright deny it, well, then maybe there is interest.
That's why you don't make any. That's why, and it's more out of one ring, out of respect for the kids here, the kids there, and anywhere else.
Considering that Miami and Florida don't face each other every year, is it still big, the mythical state title? And
Heck yeah, it is. It is for us. That's our 2 biggest rivals. I mean, that's our rivalry games, and it's important for this state, and what it means here is extremely important. Extremely important. That's one of the reasons you're the head coach here. Those games are important.
One more. Jimbo, I know you're a busy dude these days. Did you watch the Tampa Bay game at all yesterday?
Parts of it. I texted with him right after, and we texted a long time last night, and at times, and talked. And
What do you think about the rookie season he's having?
just smiling. I'm not going to say it yet. I'll tell you when it's over with. But and think of all the injuries he's had. Now he's getting receivers back, and Mike and Evans and Vincent and all those guys, and the guy's learning curve. The ability to put confidence in people around him, his ability to improve, his ability to compete, his strive for greatness and for competitiveness. It's just infectious. And it comes across everybody he's around, anytime he's around, all the time. The guy's the real McCoy. And he is as a person, too.
Rashad changed it.
Time will tell.
Rashad changed the game the other night, too.
Doesn't surprise me a lick. You look at the success of all of our guys, Rashad, Telvin Smith, Devontae, and Carlos, and Mario Edwards was Rookie of the Year. Darby's been Rookie of the Year. Mario Edwards had 11 tackles and a sack the other day. Eddie Goldman's playing, and Christian Jones. I mean, you go through it, man, all those guys. I mean, I know I'm leaving somebody. I don't mean the linemen are all. I mean, Stork and Trey Jackson's walked into the Patriots and started. I mean, you know, just we've been blessed to have some tremendous young men here. I'm very proud of them and happy for them as they go on.
Just overall, just with this team and just personally, what are you thankful for this Thanksgiving?
I'm sorry?
Is it just overall with this team and just yourself, what are you thankful for this Thanksgiving?
That we are all together, and we're all one, and we're all family. We all care for each other, and at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It's about the relationships you make and the respect you have in a room, and helping each other become better men, better people, better coaches, better players, and again, the family atmosphere in which we have together, and the camaraderie in which we have together, and the true love we have for each other. I mean, and the respect. And to me, that's what this whole thing's about.
Cool, we good?
We're good? Thank you.